Okay, so what is LMC conference? How do we actually get the agenda, and what does it do? How can you be involved in it? The important thing to say is that LMC conference is the major meeting where we can, as GPs, as grassroots GPs, represent your colleagues and start to debate and form policy which gets passed on to GPC to try and enact. So it is, if you like, the means by which every general practitioner in the country can get their opinion across. I often think that GPs who are often getting fed up and brassed off or finding things irritating, if every one of those just wrote down the sorts of changes they'd like to see and submitted it to their LMC, then that could be passed up as motions to conference. I'm not trying to get too many more motions, because in fact we get nearly 1,000 motions submitted to conference, and we've really only got time to debate 60 or 70 of them. And that comes down to the work of the Agenda Committee, because the Agenda Committee has got to look through all the motions submitted by LMCs from throughout the United Kingdom and try and coalesce them into topics that were worthy of debate, topics which will embody the feelings of general practitioners throughout the United Kingdom, and also make good policy that GPC can use to advance the medical political scene, the medical political agenda. And we work very hard. It's a lot of time spent locked up with a lot of motions, but we try and make it so that conference is of value to everyone. And one of the plans for the future is to try and make conference more accessible to every GP, whether it's through its Twitter hashtag LMCconf, from which you can actually participate and read what's going on in Twitter, to watching the webcast, or just reading the documents and minutes that come out. But the real thing is that conference wouldn't exist if GPs weren't opinionated, had brilliant ideas, had burning desires to see things change and make their lives better. And I really want to encourage every GP, whether newly qualified or getting towards retirement, to really think about issues that mean a lot for them, and to try and bring those forward to conference. So conference is vital, alive, and reflects the real concerns of general practitioners.
GPs across the 4 nations are facing very similar pressures. We are seeing a workforce crisis with increasing numbers of young doctors choosing a path other than general practice, greater numbers of doctors wishing to retire early, workload pressures that are escalating due to an aging population with chronic diseases, as well as an increasing volume of moving out of hospitals into the community, and this is part of a policy across the 4 nations. We have a morale issue in general practice, and all of this put together means that we're really at a low ebb similar to prior to this contract in 2003. At this conference, we need to not just identify the problems, but we need to find solutions, and we need to be very clear to politicians, to ministers across the 4 nations as to what needs to happen in order for general practice to be supported and developed, and in order for us to have enough GPs for the future. We need to be defining our future and make sure that governments across the 4 nations actually put into place practical steps to turn this around if we are to see general practice continue in the NHS.